All right, guys, welcome back to the pod, back to Game and Compute. So, when it comes to the next phases, looking at your website, likely you're going to have some kind of website. I'm assuming, because we're talking about e commerce here, but like we're not necessarily talking about brick and mortar stores. Now, I mean, if you do have like a kiosk or like a table set up at a farmer's market or some kind of like, you're selling stuff out of a truck or something, like I'm not knocking any of it. I'm just saying, like, if you're doing some kind of alternate, kind of like temporary services physically, like you want to utilize as much social media as you can. Um, and build up a presence. I mean, it makes sense to know what type of, you know, business or service or product, you're trying to provide, and choosing the appropriate medium for that service. So, for example, if you're selling necklaces physically, off of like, like if you go to, say, in LA, there's a place called the Rhodium. It's kind of like a flea market type of place, or like a swap meet type of place. Or if you go to places that are like farmers market where they have like craft areas and tables you can set up, um, you likely could open up a Shopify store, put it on a business card or some kind of flyers and things, and people who see you in person can still go to your site. You could also set up an Etsy store. You could also just have general social media that leads people directly to be able to buy. Um, you want to just think about what's the best method, right? Like, Shopify can be good, I think, if you have um, an understanding of traffic. I think that's the hardest thing with Shopify. Um, because it's like cold traffic. Like Instagram, somebody could stumble upon you. TikTok, somebody could stumble upon you, right? Facebook, same thing. Somebody could potentially stumble upon you. Same with Etsy. But with Shopify, somebody would really have to know that you exist, either know the name of your brand, or you'd have to be ranking in Google or ranking online somewhere for someone to come up to your site. Like if your site's buried deep on page like 58 or something, and you have some obscure name, you know, people aren't going to be likely to find you there, right? Um, and you want to think about social media, all the different types of platforms, blogging, podcasting, YouTube. Um, Now it's okay if you're not like constantly posting everywhere. Like that could be helpful, kind of. Especially if you're able to do it right and you understand SEO, and we'll be talking about that as well. But it takes a while, to build up an online presence if you're not ranking for keywords already. Um, so I would say that would be one way to do it. Like how I mentioned, my friend, was already ranking for keywords with just having the niche of, being involved with nursing. That already alone in itself was already, a highly searched keyword uh, area niche. Um, so you really want to know like you know, what platforms you want to use. You might want to use more than one platform. You might not need to. It kind of just depends. I prefer to use more than one platform because I feel like it helps with the traffic, just because you have backlinks and you're like linking between. Usually, if you have like two or three platforms, so for example, one where you post pretty regularly, one where you post maybe once a week, one where you post maybe once a month. Um, that could be helpful. I mean, you don't have to go like crazy with it and have like TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Shopify, Etsy, um, have like like YouTube, have like every single thing, and then you'll be posting forever. Like you can have like YouTube, cut up some clips for like shorts on YouTube, and then use those for like TikTok, for Instagram. You can do something like that. I mean, I'm not here to uh tell people that they can't do certain things, but you just got to think about it. One thing that helps is not copying another site, but once you kind of know more about your competitors' sites, or a site that you think is maybe kind of within the niche of, you know, your product or service, but something that you are providing more value on than somebody else, you can kind of check out their methods, and you don't have to duplicate it exactly. Like maybe they're only on Facebook. You could add different platforms. You don't want to go crazy spending a whole lot of money on stuff. Um, but you want to know about your avatar and about your competitor. Those are going to be very important because that can kind of help you know where to post more. So if you're, selling like a hearing aid um type of device for, I don't know, like maybe you have an arbitrage option, like you can get it for wholesale and resell it or something. Um and you're marketing towards like older people, like in their 60s and 70s or something. I don't know if TikTok is always going to be like the best. You got to think like maybe they're on Facebook. There's probably some on Instagram, on YouTube, you know. Um, you just want to think about it more. You want to think about where are the people that you're trying to reach actually searching for stuff at, where are they likely spending their time, because you want to think about who can search for you, how they're going to find you without knowing that you exist, right? That's one aspect of getting the word out there. Another aspect is definitely, the paid aspect. But um I would say the first step is know how it's going to go unpaid first. Like if you're not getting any traffic unpaid ever, that's a little concerning. If nobody's finding you, something's up. It might be the keywords, it might be too competitive to rank for the keywords. Maybe you're not posting enough. Maybe you are posting, but you're not, linking back to enough stuff. There can be so many varieties of reasons why the traffic may or may not get to you. You got to understand SEO. You got to understand the algorithms, what they want, what's going to make them push you. And you also want to understand kind of the basics of the platforms you're going to be using. A lot of times you can find specific SEO tutorials on specific platforms. So that's one thing I would recommend searching for, is the free tutorials on how to use certain platforms and optimize for SEO. Um, that's probably one of the better things to do. I mean, we can talk about that in more detail, but that is really a lot of detail. There's a lot of detail there, because every platform kind of has its best practices, um, and you know, I would say most of us know that when you have a product, or like let's just say you had like a single product, one page, um on one platform, or maybe you have two platforms. Maybe you have Etsy and Instagram. Let's keep it simple. Maybe you have just Etsy and Instagram, because Etsy's pretty easy. It's going to run you about 20 cents to post one product. Um, and and say you have an Instagram. Now, Instagram is fairly easy to, get followers, follow people, engage with other people, right? TikTok's kind of the same. YouTube is not really set up that way. Like, people don't hang out on YouTube and like interact like that. So if you want kind of like an interactive community, that can help you, because you'll be on people's radars. They'll know, oh, maybe you're posting on this day, or maybe you're posting like even if it's like some self-help quote or something that doesn't even have to do with your product. Like, people start looking forward to your posts, um, and they know that you're gonna post them. And so, um, yeah, just considering the platforms, considering your knowledge for SEO for those platforms, and considering the appropriate platform for what your goods or services are, that's definitely a good place to try and kind of hone in on best practices.